Welcome to Luci's Den.
First episode of Luci's Den.
The first episode of Luci's Den.
Very important. It is the pilot episode.
Pilot episode.
Parentheses 1.
Oh, okay, yeah. Just in case people don't know.
Just in case people don't
Just in
know
case
what a
people don't
pilot
know.
is. So who are you?
I'm Lilith. Who are you?
Lilith.
Who are you?
I'm 66.
For those who can't read.
Yeah, that says Lilith.
Okay.
And this says 66.
We're not here to judge people. Okay, they're here to watch and listen.
Well, they might be here to judge us.
They may be. That's
okay.
right, they are.
You know, we take the engagement. They get to get out some therapeutic things that should probably go to a therapist for.
Go to a therapist if you need a vent. We're not licensed therapists whatsoever. We should have like a theme song.
Cue song.
So what got us into writing? You should go for 66.
It was the lack of joy in my life.
That was deep. When did it all start?
When I was a wee baby. A microscopic baby.
Yes.
Felt that big, swimming through.
Yes. You were a glimmer in your mother's eyes.
No, I think I honestly started. No, that's not a think I know for sure. When I started riding bikes.
When you first got to ride a bike.
Yeah.
What was the first bike?
My dad's first bike when I was in the picture was a 2004 Yamaha FZ6, also known as the Phaser 6. I was a senior in high school.
Okay. Did he know that you were on it?
No, he had no idea. I just jumped on the back of it.
You just jumped on it? Oh, okay. No, you were on it with him then. Well, I don't know.
Yes. No, my first ride was on the back with my dad, and I didn't like that.
You didn't like it?
No.
You didn't like being on the back?
I didn't like being on the back. I've never liked being on the back of a motorcycle. And then I remember he let me try it in a parking lot at a church that was nearby, and I dropped it.
Oh, nice.
Messed up his mirror.
Aw.
Yeah. You had to buy a new mirror.
You had to buy a new mirror.
That's what you get for letting an 18-year-old jump on your bike that's never been on a bike before.
I mean, that's only fair, and it goes to show it's not if you're going to drop the bike, it's just when.
Yeah, and sometimes it's the first time.
It's the first time. It's the first time. Raise your hand if you also have dropped it the first time you ever got on a bike.
I guess it's your turn.
My turn.
What got you into riding?
Well, everyone's looking at the source of the problem, and it's you. I grew up loving cars. So I guess I'm a car girl that's been converted into liking bikes and learning a lot. So I think the first time I got on first time I got on the back of like a serious sports bike was yours.
No other bikes?
No, I've been on the back of other bikes, but it wasn't the same. I don't even know what the other bikes were.
They weren't very good.
I mean, the person never did anything fancy to try to like swoon me or anything. It's not like you were trying to swoon me.
No,
maybe
Lucy
you were.
did that. It wasn't me. It was Lucy.
I think it was.
Here's a picture of Lucy.
I know. It was Lucy.
We might not be able to do that.
Yeah, put her over me. Put the bubble here. Ta-da! Lucy. I guess that's where it all really started. And then it became an addiction. I think within it was like 2 days later, I was like, all right, I wasn't going to try to like bother you again, but like, can I go for another ride?
For those of you that don't know, if you didn't tell by the picture, if it's even there, I don't know if we can do that. Probably not.
We can do
Who cares? Lucy's a 2015 BMW S1000, one of the slowest bikes out there, perfect for beginners. The only other better beginner bike is an H2R.
Of course.
You know?
I think you're right.
Or if you want to spend like, I don't know, a little bit more money, the M1000 RR it's all right.
It's all right. We'll need to put a disclaimer at the bottom.
Yeah, price and MSRP and, you know, where you can find it, a local dealer right below it. And then where to send it to, which will be, we'll get a PO box to where you can send it to. So kind of going back to like learning how to ride, one of the biggest things that helped me stay alive for so long was the MSF course.
What is the MSF course?
You don't know?
I mean, vaguely.
It's Motorcycle Safety Faction.
Okay, so
Motorcycle Secure Face.
You can put whatever MSF words you want to put in there.
Maybe should
fuck around and find out.
Fuck around and find out on bike.
Okay, so who's the best person to take that kind of course? Like, do you already need to have a bike? Do you need to know how to ride?
If you've been riding for 0 to 100 years,
okay,
it's for you. There's different levels of the MSF course. There's beginner, intermediate, experience. But like I would say that even if you've ridden before and have taken time away, the MSF course is a good like leeway back into it. You might be a little bit more advanced in your class, which is totally fine. The experience of doing that is it's a lot because for one, they teach you about bikes, like motorcycles, all how to operate them.
Okay.
Obviously, it's usually a weekend course. Prices can vary depending on where you're at, but usually it's like 3 days. First day, you're just in a classroom and they teach you what the clutch is, how to shift, shifting levers, brakes, front and back brake, acceleration, and just kind of give you an overall understanding and try to figure out what your goal is and help you figure out the right paths to kind of take to that. Usually the second day is usually spent all day in like a massive parking lot, learning how to do figure eight, learning how the friction point of the clutch to where the bike starts engaging. So they do like a slow race to where like the instructor will walk beside you and you have to go at the same speed that he's walking. They teach you how to go over pieces of wood and certain things that could be on the road that you might not be able to avoid. And just a lot of great techniques to kind of get you through the basics of motorcycles. And then obviously don't stop at just beginner, take the intermediate, take the advanced. Most people stop after the beginner and then it's like, oh, I know everything, which is like what I did. And it's been a learning process. I've been down a few times. So, had I taken the better course, I would have learned something without having to go down to learn that lesson. But yeah, I can't recommend the MSF enough. Once you've taken the MSF course, then you can go into your DMV, which is no longer a DMV here. It's called the DDS, Department of Driver Services, and then pay for the license. You don't have to take the road test anymore.
Yeah.
Also, it's an insurance thing to where you get a discount on your insurance for taking the MSF course. A lot of places, if you just type in MSF near me, they'll show you where a lot of times police stations have them. Mountain Motorsports, Power Sports, Mountain Power.
Motorsports parks and, Harley, if you have
Harley
like a
does them
Harley
too.
place, I think
If you
they
like
do them
terrible
too.
bikes that break down a lot,
Yeah, well,
Um, yeah. Just depends on if you like going slow or not.
yeah. So do you need to have a bike before you take this course?
No, you don't need a bike. I think that's one of the beautiful things is that they supply bikes. Depending on where you go, they will probably have different types of bikes. The one that I took was at a community college. They had a couple of cruisers. They had like a couple of Honda Shadow cruisers, and then they had a little Enduro. And I chose the Enduro. I was like, okay, fuck it. I don't want to ride a cruiser, so
Yeah,
that was the only one that kind of like fit the style of what I was looking
what
to
you're
do.
looking for. Yeah.
If you think that you might want to do cruisers, the Harley one probably would work. Most of the MSF courses are going to have some type of cruiser. I've seen some have some like Ninja 250s and that kind of stuff.
Nice.
So if you're looking to go on sport bikes, you might want to look into something that might have what you're looking to do, which kind of leads into the segue of like starting bikes, right?
That's a great one. Yeah. What's a good one for people to start on?
Depending on what you are looking for, typically your MSF teacher can help you down that path of what you're looking for. If you're still thinking about starting into bikes, this might help a little bit. If you're into sport bikes, the R3 is fantastic. It's a Yamaha R3. They get incredible gas mileage. They are not the fastest bikes ever. Honestly, after riding a bigger bike, even a 600 and going back to the R3 feels like a toy.
Yeah.
Like
Feels
it's
petite.
it's very easy to be irresponsible on them, instill speed and break laws.
We don't
They're
condone that.
they're not toys. That's the thing. I mean, like they feel
Yeah.
like them to a more experienced rider, yes.
Mhm.
However, when you're starting out, you can still do some damage. That's the other thing to kind of remember as you're learning is it's gonna feel like a video game. You're gonna feel surreal. I have this freedom, but it all crashes pretty quickly if you lay it down or fall over. It's a very emotional stability because you're up here and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden you're down here. And it's a fast fall. So the R3 is fantastic. Some of the Ninjas, like the Ninja 400 is a great starter bike. If you're looking into cruisers, the Shadows are great. I don't know as much about the new cruisers, so I might be a little outdated on new cruiser bikes, but my recommendation would just be sit on everything that you can. So go to your local dealer. I probably wouldn't bother a bunch of people on Facebook Marketplace just yet to just come and sit on their bike, because you don't want to waste somebody's time.
But I even feel like going to car shows and those kinds of things and seeing bikes.
Well,
People,
I would say seeing them at car shows is nice.
yeah,
However, most people aren't going to let you just like sit on their bike.
yeah,
If you're more experienced, some people will, depending on how well they know you kind of
Yeah.
thing. Not everybody likes people sitting on their bike, which is understandable. That person drops it
Yeah,
and the damage is
exactly.
done, like not everybody can pay to fix
To
somebody else's
fix it,
stuff.
yeah. I will say that I'm surprised by whenever getting into bikes and getting to sit on different ones, I've been surprised of how different each of them are. Sitting positions, everything.
Yeah, you're going to have different seat heights from the ground. You're going to have different profiles of the seat
Yeah.
too. So some people have aftermarket seats. They're going to be more comfortable than others. But it's just one of those things to where, like, at that point, it's your responsibility to go and just sit on a bunch of different ones to figure out which one you like best. Especially if you're getting a modern bike, like a newer bike that's fuel injected, which means that you're not dealing with carburetors anymore. So whenever you have a fuel pump in there, so whenever you turn on the bike, it automatically brings fuel into the engine rather than having to open up a fuel line every time and close that. It's a hassle. So I mean, not saying that you can't have an older bike to start out with, but that's so much more responsibility than finding something that's fuel injected. That's a quick Google search.
Yeah.
Being like, okay, I found this bike that I really like. Is it fuel injected? And the thing is that more often than not with most brands, after like 2008, 2009, they're all going to be
They're
fuel
mostly
injected.
going to
And
be.
there's like a lot of them that are even sooner than that. That's a quick Google search.
Yeah.
Don't buy something without doing your research on it first. So you learn about your bike. If you see that there's one that you like, obsess about it. Learn everything there is to know about it. Learn what the flaws are, the common issues that people have. It's kind of like you're looking to buy a car for the first time.
Yeah.
It's definitely important to do the same kind of research
When taking your first bike.
when you're taking your first step. Watch a bunch of videos. Most importantly, don't try to ride like everybody else.
Yeah.
Stay within your comfort zone of these are my skill sets. Stay in my perimeters, because if I step outside of that, then something exponentially bad can happen.
Yeah, know your limits.
The thing is, ride your own ride. Don't feel pressured to try to keep up with somebody else. Don't feel pressured to try to lean your bike over more because everybody else is.
Yeah, just because the cool kids are doing it doesn't mean that you're ready for it.
Right, exactly.
What was your first bike?
When I was a senior in high school, it was a 1992 Yamaha FZR 600RR. It was a POS. So the guy that I bought it from, they completely cut the harness. So like the fairings, which are the plastic on the bike on the front, there's a harness that comes back towards you that holds the mirrors and everything.
Yeah.
And those were completely cut where it had like its own like little new molded shape on the front.
Okay.
And when bikes are kind of hacked up like that, they call them street fighters.
Okay.
This was a street fighter. I'm pretty sure the engine was spray painted black.
Oh, interesting.
I paid $900 for it. I think it had 12,000 miles on it,
Okay.
if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
It was carbureted, so it was
Okay.
not fuel injected. 90s, they did not have
They didn't have that.
fuel injection on those bikes, at least. I don't
Yeah.
know if there were some higher end bikes that did. However, as an irresponsible 18-year-old,
I see where this is going.
I definitely rode it a little irresponsibly. I never went down on that bike.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah.
However, I did end up having a lot of issues turning the fuel off after I was done, and I flooded the carburetor. So one day the bike just wouldn't start because the fuel had flooded the engine. That specific year also had a voltage regulator issue.
Yeah.
So there was a common swap for those because the other ones were like that big.
Okay.
And newer ones are like that big. And they can handle a lot more, but that would fry your bike. If you don't know what a voltage regulator is, there's three things that allow your battery to work and your bike to function on the electronic side of things. You have your battery, you have your stator, and you have your voltage regulator.
Okay.
So the battery gives you power. The stator replenishes your power like the alternator on your car.
Okay.
And the voltage regulator distributes the power to the rest of the bike.
Okay.
So if one of those three fails, you're out of power to your bike. It's not turning over. You're not going to go vroom vroom anymore.
No more vroom vroom. I can make that make sense.
I didn't do much research, but it was what I could afford
Yeah.
at the time. To each his own.
Yeah.
It was a decent bike. Do I miss it? Kind of.
I
Actually
think
made
there's
a deal.
sentimental parts to that. you know?
Yeah. I don't remember exactly how it all went down, but I remember my dad wanted me to trade my bike for his bike plus money.
Oh, okay.
And then he was going to sell my bike and get another bike.
Okay.
I was actually coming home from work one day. It was cold. This was the second time I went down on that same bike.
On his bike.
On
You were
his
on his
bike.
bike
On
now.
his
Yeah.
bike. And it wasn't anything crazy. I was sitting at a stoplight. The light didn't read bikes.
Mm-hmm.
I took a left turn and I hit the yellow marker on the road
Mm-hmm.
for the lines, and the tire slipped out from
Yeah.
under me. I dropped the bike.
Oof.
It hit the tank pretty hard, and insurance totaled the bike.
They totaled the bike because of that.
Yeah, the
That's
tank
sad.
was dented pretty
Pretty
bad,
bad. Okay.
which is crazy because it went down harder the first time that I went down.
But
But
this one was in that right spot,
the
right on the
second time
tank.
it like whiplashed and the tank took the brunt of the hit. So, they ended up totaling out that bike, and he
Yeah.
got more than he paid for it,
That's a win.
which is a win, but he was very upset about it.
I was about to say, Dad's
Yeah.
probably not happy.
Yeah, don't drop your dad's bike.
Yeah, don't do that. Especially right after you got it. It sounds like it was
Well,
like,
no, it wasn't right after.
that's a little bit better.
At that point, it was probably, I don't know, 5 months.
Okay. But still, the fact that
Within
he
the
had
year.
it and he was like, cool, you got this, son.
Yeah, no. It was about a year after he got that bike, 5 months to a year, somewhere in that.
So
That was a
when
long
you
time
went
ago.
down, were you wearing gear? Because something that I think anyone that follows us knows, you always wear full gear and you
Yeah.
harp on the importance of that.
I guess I have to go back to the first time that I went down.
Okay.
Because that was by far the worst out of the two experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, if I wasn't even wearing gear on the second time, I would have been okay because as the bike was going down, I just like stepped off.
Yeah.
But the first time that I went down, I was following my dad, and you typically want the more experienced rider in the front anyways. I didn't know the road that we were going down. It's one of those things to where I was trying to keep up with him,
Okay.
and I was leaned over pretty good going through a curve.
Really?
But I didn't know that the road came to a dead end, which is why I was trying to keep up with him.
Yeah.
I was on his FZ6,
Mm-hmm.
and he was on a Buell Thunderbolt, which is like a 1200cc naked bike. So
Really?
naked just means that it doesn't have the plastics on it, which had way more torque, a good bit faster than the
Really?
FZ6.
Oh, okay.
He was getting it. And
Yeah.
my dad's definitely a better rider than I was at that point. I don't know now.
Well, you ride more now than
I
him.
definitely ride more than he
So-
does, but that doesn't mean that he can't get it.
Probably could.
We were going through a right-hand curve, kind of a blind curve too. I was leaning over, and then I looked down because there was grass in the road. I took my eyes off from where I was going, and I chopped the throttle.
Oof.
When you're going through a curve, you either need to speed up and lean more or keep a consistent speed, and your bike will handle it. And I chopped the throttle. It allowed the back wheel to slip out from underneath me.
No.
I slid out of the curve
Yeah.
and ended up kind of in a little ditch.
Okay.
I had on boots, had on pants.
Riding
had on
pants?
Yep, I had leather pants, a leather jacket, my helmet, and gloves. I had everything on full gear. And I remember when the bike hit initially, it kind of hit down because the back wheel came out, and then I hit down. I bounced over the bike,
You bounced over the bike.
and I was rolling, and I remember I was
Ye-
ragdolling, and I was
Yeah.
trying to pull my arms in.
Like tuck.
So if you're ever sliding on a bike,
Yeah.
coming off a bike, pull your arms into you
Yeah.
and don't try to stop yourself because that's a good way to break your arm,
Oh, yeah.
especially if you're rolling and tumbling. I pulled my arms in and kind of rolled to a stop, broke a lot of things on the bike that were designed to break in the event that it goes down. So the foot pegs, some of the mirrors, some of the plastics, that kind of stuff ended up breaking. There's a boat dock. He ended up coming around, but what was crazy, I'm going to say a minute after I went down, a giant truck came by with a boat, which would have been real bad if that would have happened while he
Yeah.
was coming the opposite direction. I had a bunch of adrenaline, screaming,
Yeah.
I didn't even know that there's a boat dock down there,
Yeah.
I didn't look at the signs or anything like that. It's just one of those things to where, like, had I not had my gear on, I would have been hospitalized because I would have had road rash, like crazy road rash. I possibly could have broken my arm,
Yeah.
possibly could have broken my tailbone.
Yeah.
So many other things could have happened. I came out with a little scratch right here and a little bruise on my back, and that was
Wow,
it.
that
And I was
was
going
it.
about 40, 50 miles an hour.
Wow.
I always ride with gear.
Yeah.
I can't tell everybody to ride with gear all the time, but I can recommend it.
Can harp on the importance of
I
it.
would say that your gear is extremely important. If you don't ride with gear, that's a risk that you're taking. I understand that it's expensive. Medical bills are way more expensive than gear. I can promise you that.
And I almost feel like how I tell people too is like, see it as an extension of your bike. Like you are the extension of your bike, so you need the proper protection as well.
It's definitely worth the investment. It doesn't matter how slow you're going. If you
Yeah.
have an accident, it can be bad.
Yeah, you shred through things easily. Like jeans.
Yeah, jeans,
Don't do anything.
concrete eats through jeans like no one's business.
Oh, yeah. Us women, I mean, mine are essentially like leggings. They're not really jeans.
We're working on finding you proper gear.
Yeah.
You know, it's hard to find matching stuff that is good, you know. So we're in the process of working with a few companies to try to make that happen. As of right now, it is definitely harder for women to find protective gear.
I don't think there is as nice of gear, yeah, or selection because I think us women know we want to look good, but you kind of have to be able to just know that you need good protection. And us women all have different like lengths of legs, torsos, so that always makes it a little more complicated.
As of right now, Raven Moto, pretty good. MBT is pretty good. That makes clothing that looks like actual clothing.
Yeah,
In my personal experience, leather gear
leather.
is by far the best. The other stuff can save you from
Yeah.
road rash and injury, but having leather gear is by far going to be the most effective.
Yeah.
So anything's better than nothing. I will say that. So something like that might be where you need to start out and then move up. Look into used gear. You know, it might not be the most ideal thing, but something is better than nothing. So
Oh, yeah. I think we should kind of put a bookmark there then. What do you think?
I guess you guys are going to have to tune in more. Leave some comments if there's anything that you might have questions about that you want to learn.
Yeah, that you want us to talk about or share or learn more about us. We'll be glad to share. Thanks for joining us and tune in for the next one.
Bye.